Hey guys, Goat Mom here, and we're back for an advice video. Night Cove the Fox has joined me today. And we are taking the questions that you have left on the community tab, as always. And we will jump right in, because we have a crazy amount of questions this time. So, alright. How do you comfort someone when they've lost someone? You're just gonna have to remind them of the good times. Obviously, we've gone through a lot of that in our family the last couple of years. We've lost a few people, and just trying to think of the good times, remind them of that. I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but...
Yeah, and also just, grief is something that can take a really long time for someone to get through, like especially if they were close to that person. So sometimes, as hard as it can be, the most you can do as a friend is just be there for them. They're going through it, but that's kind of something they have to process. So there's nothing really that you can do as a friend to fix that for them, because throughout time they are just going to have to work through it. Eventually the pain will subside, but the most and best thing that you can probably do as a friend is just be there for them when they need you, if they need to talk, or if you need to help them distract themselves with something fun like playing video games together or something, or just video chatting, whatever you guys do together as friends, the most you can do is just be a good friend, I guess, because there's nothing you can really do from an outside perspective to speed up that grieving process.
Yeah, and everyone's different.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone grieves differently, and on that subject, a few people have asked me before, what's wrong with me? I can't cry, my friend died, or my friend's mom, or... Everyone grieves differently. There's no right way to grieve. There's no wrong way. Some people cry, some people don't. Some people take a week or two, some people take a few years. There's really no right or wrong way, and how much you react is not a measure of how much you love and cared for them. So if you have the ability to move on, that's okay. If you don't have that ability yet, that's okay. It's completely 100% different for each person, and all of it's fine, as long as you're not letting yourself get so low to a point where you're just in a hole and that's where you stay. You want to move forward a little bit every day and see that process flowing through you. You don't want to just get stagnant, or a friend or loved one gets stuck in that place, because then they probably need to get some help working through it, or read some books about grief and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's really not. How do I deal with going into secondary school? I'm in my last year of primary school, and since I struggle with real life friend issues, I'm really nervous about secondary school. Be yourself, don't take grief from others. Immediately hold your head up and be confident even when you're not. It would be my best advice, because sometimes when you're new to a school or a situation, they're kind of like wolves, they sense fear, or they sense weakness, and you just want to be, you don't want to be an ass, but you want to, just be confident and be yourself, and don't put up with bad behavior from others towards you, because immediately people are going to find out how they can treat you, and you want to make sure you teach them to treat you well immediately. Mm-hmm. That's my best advice. And be transparent with your parents on the things you're dealing with as you go through this. If you're getting bullied, be transparent about it. Talk to someone about that and anything else you're going through.
Yeah. But yeah, just be you, unfiltered, so that the people that you do make friends with, that they like you because you're you, and you're not putting on a facade to seem normal or fit in. But don't feel like just because you're going into a new place with a lot of new people that you have to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't have to try and fit in, I guess. Just as long as you're confident in yourself, the right people will come to you. And that's not to say that you can't also be the initiator, and if you see someone that you think is cool or that you'd like to befriend, go for it. School is a great place to learn how to communicate and learn how to make friends. Sometimes you learn how to end friendships or relationships, because that's also an important part of growing, is learning how to set boundaries when you do make new friends. But you'll learn a lot in school as you grow up. But in terms of friendships, just go with the flow, trust your gut, and be yourself, basically, is what I'd say.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to set those boundaries.
Yeah,
for
boundaries are very important. So if you don't like something, speak up, correct them, be like, hey, I don't like it when you do that. Would you mind not doing that? And you'll know that if they're receptive about it, then cool, you're learning to communicate. So it's a cool process to just kind of learn how to talk things through and have more mature adult-like conversations when you're like figuring things out, instead of just arguing, because a lot of kids just like to.
Exactly. That's a good age to start practicing your adulthood. Whereas instead of just having a meltdown or a tantrum or being sad or angry or letting other people treat you like that, start learning to have active conversations, learn how to use your words, learn to start bringing your parents in on things that you need help with, and start practicing talking to them as an adult so that they can respect your opinions and how you feel. And also start learning to talk with your teachers and establish a rapport with your teachers, because your teachers can be on your side when things go sour, and that's important. Oh, if you see things going on you don't think are right, then stand up and speak up about it too. So if you see bullying or a student or a teacher acting inappropriately in any way, don't be afraid to stand up and tell the people that are offending you or others, hey, that's not right. Because the world needs to speak up for each other. There's too much silence when kids are bullying or talking crap about someone, and not enough other kids that are seeing it happen are standing up and saying, hey, wait, that's not right. There's 10 of us here that don't think that's cool. Settle down. That needs to happen more, instead of people just getting out their phones and recording it. You know what I mean? Actually be a good human being and stop things that are bad from happening when they're happening, however you can. Whether that just be go silently tell an adult, or stand up and say, hey, I don't like that. Whatever's safest. There was another one on here, how do I come out to my parents about being non-binary? I'm going to refer you to our past videos, because there's several on my channel that have to do with family, coming out, being yourself, all those subject matters. They may be peppered over the course of a few videos, but between those few, you should be able to get the advice you're looking for instead of...
Yeah, we've definitely covered a lot of LGBTQ plus stuff with kids and their parents. So if that's kind of the topic you're looking for, we've technically kind of covered some of that stuff in previous videos. So
yes,
I would highly recommend checking those out.
And then for those of you who don't know, it's an entire series on my channel called You Are Not Alone. So there should be upwards of almost 20 videos, I think, of different topics. Most of the videos contain more than one topic, so go check those out. Do you have any tips or advice on being happy in general? I never have any motivation to do daily tasks and I always feel sad. Actually, what we just said again, there's a lot of videos on organizing yourself, talking to your parents about your feelings, analyzing your own feelings, journaling. Those are all in my other videos, so go check those out. Motivation, I know we have a video on motivation.
Yeah,
go check out that whole catalog. In the past, I've been in a toxic relationship, and because of the pain from it, I feel like I'm shutting out people, and I feel really self-conscious in social places. I would really appreciate it if I could have some advice for this as it's affecting my day-to-day life.
it's hard coming out of a toxic relationship. I've watched it happen. I've kind of gone through it myself, where you go into a relationship, it's like the honeymoon phase, everything's great, and then once you're out of it because it got bad, you look back and you're like, wow, yeah, that was really toxic. Sometimes it's hard to recover from that, so just give yourself credit for being brave enough to step out from it, first of all. I'm proud of you personally for stepping out of that, because that itself can be very difficult. So give yourself some credit and some love for loving yourself and reevaluating that situation. I wouldn't feel so bad, don't give yourself a hard time for not being able to make connections with people right now, because it can be hard, coming out of a relationship where you were really close with someone and then having the rug kind of pulled from beneath your feet can take a toll on your social, abilities. So, give yourself time to heal. Sometimes if it's hard for you to make connections with others, that means that you should focus on connecting with yourself again, because it probably means you've lost connection with yourself. So I would focus on hobbies maybe that make you happy, or, take this moment when you're healing to reflect on yourself and think about yourself and how you can take care of yourself to make you happy, without necessarily being like, oh my God, I need to make more friends. I need to talk to the friends I have. I'm, oh my God, I'm not talking to anyone. Like, that's fine. That is perfectly okay. That sometimes that's a part of healing from breaking it off with someone, is just needing some space away from other people because that social part of you is just kind of dormant. So don't feel bad for that. If your friends are worried, you could even just be a little transparent if you're comfortable. Just let them know what's going on and be like, hey, I came out of this kind of rough friendship or relationship, and if I'm not as talkative, it's because I need to work on me, because I'm kind of hurting from it right now. So as a friend, if you could just please understand that I don't hate you. I'm not, not talking to you because I don't like you. It's just that I'm going through something and I need to kind of heal from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to focus on yourself. You should
Absolutely.
never feel guilty for not talking to people. Sometimes it's good to be transparent to a level that you're comfortable, just to at least let them know, like, hey, I'm not ignoring you. It's just that
I need a minute.
I need a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's fine. Communication is important, but I don't think you should feel guilty about it or wrong about it. Like, I think it's normal to just kind of step away from people for a bit, because like I said, it's a good opportunity to focus on yourself a little bit and find your own happiness.
Exactly. And as long as you're moving forward slowly every day, then that's good progress. If you find yourself stuck in a rut, get some help. Talk to some people, talk to an adult you trust. Maybe take some time to, get to know yourself, evaluate yourself. Don't beat yourself up over it, but maybe take some time to journal the things that you think went wrong, the things that maybe were toxic that you put up with, and why you put up with them. You know what I mean? Like, maybe at the time they seem normal to you, and now in retrospect you're like, wow, that was really toxic. So what changed in you? Identify that and accept that and go with that. Grow from that. You know what I mean? Like, pat yourself on the back for, like she said, for getting out of it.
Yeah.
But also identify the things that made you think it was okay in the first place, and maybe tackle those problems. Maybe it was something from your childhood you experienced and you thought that was normal, or, maybe a past friendship, but evaluate why you let that happen in the first place so you don't let it happen again. And don't beat yourself up if you do make a mistake, because mistakes are just lessons.
It's all a part of the learning process.
Yes, mistakes are
It's all
good.
part of growing up.
Mistakes are good as long as you learn from them.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the morning I have a real difficult time getting myself to eat breakfast. Something about it just doesn't sit right with me, and it gives me anxiety attacks.
I've personally never had issues with eating. Like, my relationship with food personally is, okay, I'd like to think. Sometimes I forget to eat because I'm working and I'm distracted.
Yeah.
But I don't experience that anxiety. So personally, I don't really know what advice to give, except for me, sometimes setting structure for myself helps me remember to eat breakfast, if that makes sense. But I don't know if that's necessarily your problem, because it sounds like for you, you're just having an anxiety or an anxious trigger to the thought of breakfast. And for that, I don't know.
I would say, coming from someone who had an eating disorder in my teenage years, I know exactly what you're talking about. Although for me, I didn't have the anxiety so much of thinking of eating. I don't know how to explain it. It's really hard to explain eating disorders because everyone is so different about it. I would say start with some facts that you may or may not know. First of all, when you don't eat in the morning, you will get nauseous. Generally, people get nauseous because your liver starts throwing out sugars into your body because it doesn't think you're going to eat. That's a natural body reaction. So sometimes when we don't eat fast enough in the morning, not fast enough, but early enough in the day. If you don't eat early enough in the day and you've been awake, your body might feel a little bit nauseous. So if you're having trouble with nausea, just introduce something tiny that you love. Doesn't even matter what it is. Can be a cracker, could be berries, could be an apple, you know, a sip of orange juice, just a little something to tell your body, hey, stuff's coming, just chill. So that's like the first thing to tackle, because for me it used to be nausea, and I think you had a touch of the nausea thing when you were a kid.
Oh yeah.
Like if she
Still
didn't
do
eat,
sometimes.
Yeah.
If I don't eat, like after I wake up, my breakfast, if I don't eat it, like sometimes I'll start feeling gross. Almost like, I don't know, it's almost kind of like you've overeaten,
Or
where
car
your
sick.
stomach feels, or
Yeah.
like car sick, where
Motion
your
sick.
stomach feels kind of distended.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I really don't want to eat, but also I have to eat, 'cause
Yeah.
that's why I'm feeling this way.
And if you're getting anxious, you're probably like, well, shoot, now I didn't eat. Oh God, it's not good for me. Okay, first of all, relax, take a deep breath. Like I said, start slow. Just try to maybe set yourself a schedule, like she said. Maybe have a piece of toast. You know, just get in the habit of having one bite, you know, within the first hour you get up. And then, you know, add another bite, you know, a half hour later. And then get your body used to eating religiously every morning like that. And then, you know, incorporate your meals maybe on a scheduled time. Or maybe you're the kind of person that just needs to eat when they feel hunger. Just make sure you're getting the right amount of calories for your height and weight and age. And you can Google that. I'm sure there's 1,000 apps out there that will help with that.
Yeah.
And as far as all the other stuff that goes along with an eating disorder, that's something to definitely talk to your parents or someone you trust. If they don't believe that it's a real thing and you still think it is, then go to a school counselor or call a hotline. Don't jump to conclusions. Maybe it's just some other anxiety that you're going through, and maybe you're tying it in with food, maybe you're not. I mean, have an open mind, be patient with yourself. Just take it slow, and definitely talk to someone that you trust for more professional information about it, because I don't want to touch on eating disorders too exactly, because they can all be very, very different, and they all have different triggers. And that's the only other piece of advice I could give you, is find out what's making you anxious. Is it the way you feel like you look? Is it something that happened in your past? You know, there's obviously some therapy that needs to be done, or some conversations that need to happen, because an eating disorder is a result of anxiety. It's a side effect of anxiety. Anxiety comes out as an eating disorder. It comes out as OCD. It comes out as insomnia. So find out why you're anxious and what you're anxious about, and then work out that problem like a math problem. Write down what's making you upset, what's happened to you, and then work out that problem one problem at a time, and you'll feel better. Just getting it out in the open, even if you just write it down at first, even if you don't share it, get it out of your brain, write it down. How do I stand up for who I am? My parents are very homophobic, and I've told them several times that I like women, but they just tell me that I haven't met the right guy, and that once I get a husband, I'll change my mind. But I don't want a husband. I don't know how to tell them, because I just want to make them proud of me. Any advice?
Again, LGBTQ plus topics we
Yeah.
have covered in previous videos, so if you want some more thorough answers on how to deal with homophobic parents, we've definitely covered that.
Yeah, a couple times.
I would recommend maybe they're putting like a link to your playlist
Yeah.
at the end of the
definitely.
video as a pop-up, and then maybe
Yeah.
also in the video description,
For
so that it's
sure.
easier for you guys to
To
find.
jump over.
Yeah, but we have definitely talked about like that sort of situation, specifically where the parents are in denial and they're just like, you're lying.
Yeah.
It couldn't possibly be. And it's like,
And I don't know what your age group is, but you know, I mean, we cover it in the other video, so I'm not going to go into a huge explanation. But basically, eventually, it's up to you. It will get better. Eventually you're going to turn 18 if you're not already. Eventually you'll have your own life. So you get by until you can do what you can in your life to change things. And I know you want them to be proud of you. I think we all have that to some degree. I know I very much always wanted my parents to be super proud of me, especially my dad, because he was the more strict one. And so I always kind of gauged everything by like, I wonder if that would make him proud. At some point in your life though, you let go of that. I mean, it's nice to like, that's a bonus, but you have to live your life for you because your life is yours to live. So you have to let go of the fact that if they're not proud of you because that's what you're going to go do with your life, then you just have to reconcile that with yourself. You have to be okay with that because you can't live your whole life making other people happy. You are the star of your life, no one else. So, you know, it's great if you have family support, but like letting go of toxic friends, you sometimes have to let go of toxic family members. So that's hard to do. And it's much easier said than done, but you know, you'll find your way and you'll find what works for you. But never change who you are for somebody else, ever, in any situation. Not even pertaining to this one, but also this one. Like, never change who you are for somebody else. How do you help someone become more confident about themselves? My girlfriend has dealt with her stepfather verbally abusing her for years, and her mother was too high to care. She's out of the situation now. Besides, her grandmother takes advantage of her all the time and guilt trips her, but she actually thinks all those things she was told are true, and they aren't. Everyone around her tells her how pretty and sweet she is, and she's really the sweetest girl on the planet. But she has such low self-esteem, it's affecting me too. I just want to know how to make her feel better about herself because she's a great person.
Again, I guess this is kind of similar to the grieving scenario in terms of it being, from a friend's perspective, I feel like the most you can do is be there for her. I don't know how close you guys are or how close your families are or how involved you are, but it is rough having a toxic family dynamic like that. I've had a few friends who have gone through scenarios that are bad, you know, like parental issues or like the grandparents being an issue, cousins, you know. But the most I could do for them at the time was, you know, leave my door open for them when they needed me, you know, reassured them, you know, I was there for a phone call. But it does get hard because when you're there for that person, and if you tend to be kind of an empath, you know, it can take a toll on your mental health too. So you come to this weird roadblock where you're like, I care for this person, I really want to do everything I can to convince them that they are a good person and that they should love themselves as much as I love them. But also, this is a lot of work and it's starting to take a toll on my mental health. So you kind of come to this like situation where it almost feels like, well, if I like tell them I need a break from this situation, I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but you know, but you're not, you know, because
you matter.
You matter too. And from an outside view, you unfortunately it's hard to watch, but you can't do a lot of involved stuff to help that family dynamic. So like I said, I think the most important thing as a friend that someone can do for someone who's in a situation like that is just be there for them. Be a good friend, you know, keep telling them that they are awesome and that they are loved, because as much as it may not seem like they believe it, if you keep showering them with this love and this support and this positivity, you know, eventually it could probably sink in, you know. I know some days are hard and people might just shut down and be like, you know, I'm not going to believe anything positive that anyone says to me because I have this shield around me right now of grief and pain, and I'm just going to let everything ricochet, which honestly at that point, you know, you've done all you can.
And the thing is that with someone who's grown up with it, that was imprinted on them at a young age. You know, that you're worthless or you're not good enough or whatever the thought they're telling themselves was put on their slate, you know, of the chalkboard of who they are when they were really young. and as they grew up. So nothing you can do can really fix that. They're gonna have to fix that themselves by taking that chalkboard, looking at it, analyzing it, and coming to the conclusion that they're better than that. So you can only try so hard, but at some point that person is going to have to work through that themselves. And there's a parenting tactic that says, you know, it takes 1,000 good jobs to erase one you suck. And it's kind of like that for all kids. Like if anybody was told anything negative, it takes 1,000 good jobs to erase that. So that's more than one person can do. So you can only do your part and then just be supportive, because I would suggest that that person goes and talks to the people that offended them, if it's healthy to do so. If not, they're going to have to learn to cut those people out the best they can and grow from there. It's really hard to say and do, but eventually, what's the other choice? You know, you have to go forward in life. You have to be able to enjoy your life. They need to enjoy their life. You know, that's all you can do. I mean, professional help is obviously the key, but I know most of you that write me are doing it because they can't get professional help.
Yeah.
And that's just sad. I mean, Google some videos, read some books about it that you get online or from the library, but there's only so much one human can do. And when it comes down to it, everybody's responsible for being their own hero, and you have to let people be their own hero sometimes, most of the time, because that's the only thing that's going to stick forever. You can't fix somebody's problem, because then later it's going to happen again if they don't do it from inside. In general, be careful with your friends, with your loved ones, with your family members, that people aren't using you as an endless source of, I need a compliment, I need, you know, attention, if they're not actively going to stop and start fixing what's wrong, you can't just at 2 a.m. every 3 days go, oh my God, they're crying again, you know, something's terrible. Watch out for emotional blackmail. Like, I get it if they're having a problem, but there are some personalities that tend to use that for years and years and years to get attention turned towards them, but they never actually fix anything. And it's just kind of a like, hey, look at me, hey, I'm not getting enough attention. So learn how to discern the difference, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure you guys out there are smart, you know how to spot that. But, you know, watch out for people in your life that do that, whether it be a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a friend, a mate, you know, a spouse, you know, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. Make sure your relationships are healthy and they're working both ways. Make sure the person's there for you as much as you're there for them, and that they're just not draining you constantly. I'm having a really hard time showing my family who I am. I say this because I want to show people what I'm like, but I feel like I'm going to be made fun of. Because of that, I'm scared to show people what I like and who I am. I normally am a person who doesn't care what people think, but when it comes to the thing I like or hobbies of mine, I don't tell others because I don't want to get picked on. I've told someone once and it didn't end well for me because I ended up in trouble for liking something. Well, first of all, if you ended up in trouble for liking something, you don't have a good friend. So no one, if you say, for example, I love football, and all of your friends are in band, and they're like, ha ha ha, you like football, what a loser. That's not a friend, you know. Or if you like anime and all your friends are into tennis, you know, and they're like, what, you like anime, that's for losers, you know. First of all, you can't get in trouble for liking something. That already means you've got the wrong set of friends. You shouldn't be afraid to show yourself. I don't think you'd be made fun of if you're with people who understand you. So I know I've said this in other videos, find better friends. You know what I mean? Unless what you're into is really freaking creepy.
5 Nights at Freddy's.
5 Nights at Freddy's. No.
Except the thing about, like, I don't know what it was. I guess it was just my luck, but the people that I met, even if they were new people, just already knew what FNAF was when I met them. So it wasn't as strange when I told them, like, oh yeah, I like 5 Nights at Freddy's. They're like, really, me too? And I was like, oh thank God.
Well, yeah, that's just a game, you know. I'm thinking like if you like to skin lizards and hang them from trees, you know, then there's something wrong with you and you need to get help. So if it's that kind of thing that you want to tell your friends about, well then maybe you need help. But like for the people that like just have fandoms or whatever if people don't understand that. It's like someone saying I like Star Wars and someone else going, well, I like Star Trek, you know.
Yeah.
Who cares? People are not going to like the same thing, and that's okay. You know, so-and-so, Billy can like Star Wars and Jimmy can like Star Trek, and Anne over here can like My Little Pony. It doesn't matter. Like, no one has to like the same thing, and you can choose to be friends with people with other fandoms, or you cannot be, or other hobbies, or you can choose not to be. I mean, the world is full of billions of people with billions of hobbies. Like, you have to learn to get along with people in a variety of, you know,
Yeah.
cultures and fandoms and hobbies. So if people are holding you in some weird light just because of what you like to do, then they're just the wrong people. Or they're not old enough. I mean, that comes with maturity too. I mean, because that sounds very grade school. Like, well, if you don't like Winnie the Pooh, then you're not cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, it sounds like an age thing. Like, most people understand that everybody likes different stuff, and if they're your real friend, they're not going to care. It's kind of like ice cream. Just because everyone eats vanilla, you're allowed to have chocolate, and if all your friends get it from the table because you order chocolate, then you need a new table of friends, you know?
Yeah.
Be who you are, in other words. Just be you. Celebrate you. And if somebody doesn't like you for it, then that's on them. There will be plenty of people that love you for you.